Hello, all my stamping and crafting friends. This is Diane from Stamping with Diane in Innisfil, Ontario. And today I'm going to be highlighting the Dainty Delight stamp set and coordinating dies available from Stampin' Up! To create a card similar to this one. We're going to step it up a little bit differently than this sample. So join me as we begin with a Sahara Sand card base, 8.5 by 5.5, and I've scored it down the center at the 4 1/4 for our just half sheet size card base. We're going to be layering that with the soft suede layer, just 1/8 of an inch smaller. And then on top of that, I've chosen a piece of our designer series paper, which is actually from the On the Farm paper set, which is free with the Celebration right now during the month of February. But I loved the back side of this and thought it would pair really, really nicely with what we're going to be doing today. So this is how our card is going to layer. And then I've got a basic white insert to go inside the card. But let's use our dies to cut out lots of these shapes. So I've chosen the big vine, and I decided to do 2 different colors of the green. So I've got the darker green and the lighter green. This is the garden green and the lighter pear pizzazz. And they're just going to kind of sit off-centered like this a little bit to really make it give lots of a vine look to it. And then I've also die cut lots of the flower images from the set as well. So I've chosen, just getting these out for you, chosen some of Highland Heather, some fresh freesia, and then I've die cut a lot of the flowers in a crushed curry, the center pieces. So this all comes in one die, and then we're just going to start playing. And I also have some pale papaya centers available here in case we want to use these. So this die cuts all 4 of those centers at once, and the other die cuts all of these, 4 of these, and I've doubled it around. This die is in the fresh freesia, and as I mentioned, this one is in the Highland Heather. So we're just going to start layering these together as we wish, and I'm going to show you a fun label to try as well. So I've just built a few of my little flowers here off to the side by adding some of the yellow centers, and I'm using some of the little glue dots just to adhere a couple of these centers onto the floral images. Now they do have a nice embossing on them already, but I just thought it'd be fun to add a little bit of that. And now, as I'm going to start adding my glue to the backs of these, I could have added the adhesive sheets. And by adding the adhesive sheets to these delicate die cuts, it does allow it to stick really easily, because then you just pull off the backing and put it down. But it would stick really flat, and I want to create a little bit of texture with this and dimension. So I'm just using my fine tip glue here and adding, get it going, adding some glue to the larger leaves on here. There we go. And I'm using my silicone mat because I don't want it to ooze out onto my card. So I'm just running it along, as you can see, over the larger parts of the leaves, all the way along here. And I'm going to do it on the darker green one as well. And then we're going to use this as the color and the interest on this card base. So as I mentioned, we have used the designer paper, but now we're going to create our own kind of interest here with this border. So I'm sliding this over to the side, and I'll pick up the one layer and just kind of centering it here And they do wiggle around a little bit, so that's nice. And I'm just patting it gently down. And I don't want this to go directly on top, so I'm going to start it just off a little bit. There. So you can see it's just adding a little bit more dimension. Now I might have to go back and add a bit more glue under some of those spots, but now I'll repeat the process with these two and I'll be right back. So on this bottom half, I decided to put the darker garden green down first, and now I'm going to layer on top with the Pear Pizzazz. And again, I just want to offset this a little bit so we see all of the different leaves. And we do have a border, so it's okay to let it come right to the edge of our designer paper. And I'm just holding this because it is white glue or liquid glue, so there is a bit of wiggle room on it. So I'm just pressing that down. And now we're going to start layering in some of our flowers. So I'll pull out my glue dots for this. And the glue dots come so nicely on these strips, so I'm just going to pick up a glue dot here on the back of the flower and pop it right onto the card, and that's also going to help to hold down excuse me, that the image. This one I think I'll put a dimensional on the back. And we'll add some height over here. And then with another glue dot, maybe we can pop this one in kind of underneath this other flower. Just tuck it in like so. And then it doesn't hurt to add in a few of our other little yellow flowers that again have just been die cut using the Dainty Delight dies. And what else have we got here? Let's do another one of those down below. I might add a bit more detail to those in a minute. Okay, so I'd like to show you how we are going to make our label today. So I'm taking a piece of, this is the Very Vanilla, and I think you can tell I have already run this through my timber embossing folder, so it looks like wood grain. Looks like wood grain here. Now I'm going to stamp the words "Celebrate You" on here right away. And I'm using the soft suede, and as I say, this is the "Celebrate You." So I've just tapped it lightly. Now I'm going to be die cutting using this stitch nested die. So I'm just going to set it here so I have an idea where I can cut that out. Now usually I tell you to stamp on as flat a surface as possible. So I have already run this through an embossing folder, but I'm still going to get a nice clear image there. So I'm still happy with that. And now, before I run it through my die cut and emboss machine, we're going to add a foam sheet to the back. These foam sheets add dimension, and I just need to cut a piece large enough to hold this die. So that should be good enough. And I never use my really good scissors or snips when I'm cutting something that has adhesive on it or anything gummy. So my blue handled scissors in my studio are the ones that are okay for gummy items. So now this has an adhesive sheet on both sides, so I'm going to remove the backing off the one side and add it in here. And now I'll layer my stitched nested label on here, and I'll run it through the die cut machine. So I'm here, I've just run it through the machine and I didn't pop it off yet. So here's the die, and so you can see the foam piece is on the back, and it will just now pop out. And having run it all the way through the Timber 3D embossing folder, I find that this now gives a very nice wood grain effect to this label. Plus, it's thick, so it almost looks like it's been stamped on a piece of wood. So because it's the height of a dimensional, I'm just pulling the backing off of it now, and I'd like to stick this down in the corner. But before I do, let's tie a loose bow using some of the linen thread, and it's going to go in behind. So just taking some of my linen thread, and I'm taking off quite a large piece here. I'm going to run my finger along it just to take some of the twirl out of it. A nice big loop, crisscross them, tuck it through and pull it tight, and then adjust according to the size you'd like. I want that one a bit smaller here. Is that going to show? Yeah, I think that's going to show quite a bit. Let's try one just a wee bit bigger. Pop that one out. That's the nice thing about this twine. You can just size it the way you wish. There. Okay, yes. Wanted it a bit bigger. Okay, so my sentiment is going to be sitting like so on the card, and I just want this to kind of come in gently behind it. And now I'm going to use my good paper snips that I use for the threads and ribbons. And now I've just got this nice loose bow. And that's going to come down near the bottom here. Okay, so let's finish this off with a few more flowers. I think another flower in here would be nice, but remember this is on a dimensional, so let's pop a dimensional on the back of this flower, which will then make it match the one that we've done up in the corner. I'm putting it right in the center, undoing that, and going to tuck it so it's down, and now it's sitting at the exact same height here. And what do I think? I think it's pretty good. Let's pull in my Pear Pizzazz Stampin' Right marker and just add a little bit of detail in the centers of a couple of these. As I say, it already does have some embossing when we die cut. There is some detail there, but that just adds a wee bit more. And now I'll just go ahead and we are going to adhere our labels, our layers together. And then we'll stamp the inside before we add that in. So just pulling out my seal and adding the soft suede layer. I love my stamping seal. It's so nice and sticky and so easy to refill. So that makes it very handy. Now there's a lot of dimension on here, but I can carefully add my seal to the corners. Remember, this paper is on the farm, which, as I say, is a free product in our celebration flyer right now. There's been some new products added in February, so there's some new things to choose from. And now let's add some of our brushed brass butterflies on here as well. I think the butterflies coming in towards the flowers would be lovely. One up there, and maybe just one in here. And then I'll go ahead and we can stamp something on the inside here. Again, I'm going to use the soft suede, and I'm going to use the sentiment from this stamp set, which says, "Sending love during this season of growth." Pop that on. Again, I'm using the soft suede. And I think we'll just embellish this inside with a couple more of the flowers, just to tie that together. So I'll use our glue dots again. That'll be a nice quick way to pop these in. I'm going to put the glue dot right on my card base. Super sticky for that one, and one more for the design inside. There we have it, and we'll add our adhesive here again. Pop that in our card, and we have a beautiful, I think, beautiful card created with lots of dimension here, all with die cuts today. Again, using the Dainty Delight stamp set from Stampin' Up. And my host code has a special for $50 or more. I send out a free gift to you as a thank you for ordering on my online store. Thanks, everybody. I hope you love this special Dainty Delight using the dies as well. Take care. Bye for now.